Hey guys, Sean Phillips here with another week of the Rough Cuts. And, well, last week, sorry there wasn't too much to talk about. All I mentioned was Comic-Con. But this week I'm here to talk to you about another film. And this film actually fits in the summer. Since it's August, this kind of fits in, since it's a summer type film that you always watch in the summer. Or you can watch it any time, but it fits in the summer. And it's Ernest Goes to Camp. And I know some people probably don't like the Ernest films, but I've always loved the Ernest films. I grew up watching the Ernest films. I remember trying, as a kid, having this extreme, crazy fit trying to find Ernest Scared Stupid. I remember it was like, the Ernest movies always came out in weird ways. Like, you couldn't find them places, and with the Ernest Scared Stupid, we had to go to all these blockbusters all over the place trying to find them. Nobody had them, and with tapes, it was very difficult to buy them years ago. Like, I don't see a lot of people that are younger wouldn't remember this, but when something would come out on tape, it would come to the to rent first, and then you'd have to wait months, sometimes a year or so, to be able to actually buy it. And if you wanted to buy it in, like, when it first came out, it would cost like $100 and something to buy the tape. It was very strange. I always remember going in Suncoast and Saturday Matinee and them going, "Oh, well, you can buy it, but it's $100 and something." With Ernest, though, all the movies came out at the exact same time, but they didn't come to stores like that. You had to buy them at Blockbuster. It was very weird. But with this film, Ernest Goes to Camp, I don't know if this is the first one I saw, but in my opinion, it's the most film-like film of all of them. All the other ones had a kind of a cheaper quality to them. They were not as, the budget was, like with every Ernest film, the budget got lower and lower and lower, which was a shame, because I like all of them, except the Army one, which was, I didn't think that was too good. But the budget of them, they just kept getting, it was almost like the companies kept taking away money. I think after Ernest Goes to Jail, Disney dropped him or something, so he switched to a different company. Everything got very strange with the Ernest films. The budget kept getting smaller and smaller with them. They became basically like cheapy, cheesy TV films. Like, that's what happened with Ernest Goes to Ernest in the Army. But Ernest Goes to Camp was an actual feature film for theaters. Same with Ernest Saves Christmas was another film version. I think Ernest Goes to Jail went to theaters, but I'm not sure. Probably didn't. I don't know. But I know Ernest Goes to Camp went to theaters. And this is the different, out of all the Ernest films, it's the most different one. Because it was really, they were taking the Ernest character and putting him into an environment like he wanted to be a camp counselor. And it was basically like an 80s camp comedy, like Little Darlings or one of those kind of things, with Ernest in it. But all the other Ernest films were kind of modeled around Ernest and Ernest doing, there's just a difference. It's hard to explain, but there is a difference. But Ernest Goes to Camp is my favorite one. Basically, Ernest really wants to be a camp counselor. He's a bus driver for the camp, and his biggest dream is to be a camp counselor at this camp, which is all run by like Indians or something. I always, as a kid, loved the opening to this. Was amazing. It was like these Indians shooting arrows and talking about, like, I don't know. As a kid, I had this obsession with Indian things. Like, I had like all these pictures of Indians. It was a very strange obsession. I can't explain it, and I don't. Even when I see Indians now, I have like this strange obsession with Indians. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but basically, the movie is about him as a bus driver, and then he gets the chance. There's this group of these delinquent kids that are really bad. No one can control them. These kids come to the camp. Now the other counselors want to deal with them. So, like, I don't know who we're going to get. Nobody wants to put up with these kids. Pains in the ass. So then they get Ernest to do it. Like, ask Ernest if he'd be a counselor for these kids. He's like, really? Me? A real counselor? And they're like, yes, Ernest. And he does it. And he has a difficult time with these kids. They're all playing pranks on him, all these problems. And then one point in the movie, this construction company that wants to take the camp and turn it into this like development community tricks Ernest into talking to one of the Indians there who owns the camp and getting him to sign the lease to tear down the camp. And then the camp is basically, that's what happens. The camp is beginning to get torn down, and Ernest and these kids have to fight against them. And there's this amazing Braveheart song in it. But before that, there's this amazing song with Ernest singing. And yes, Ernest does sing. This is the only movie he ever sings in, but his singing is amazing. And still to this day, when I see it and listen to it, I cry tears. But definitely, if have not seen Ernest Goes to Camp, definitely get this. You can usually get this really cheap on Amazon or anywhere for a good price. It's definitely one to check out. So, thanks for watching my review of Ernest Goes to Camp, and I'll see you next Monday. And yes, I will be here next Monday. Don't worry. And I'll probably be wearing the same white shirt again.